All right, welcome everyone to the July Austin iPhone Developer Meetup. Today we have 4 presentations prepared for you. 3 of them are going to be developers who just finished shipping their apps to the store, or some that are getting close to finishing. And they're showing off what they built and maybe what they've learned, any technology that they used, and that kind of stuff. So. Then we've also got one presentation from Twitter Fabric Crashlytics kind of thing. That's got lots of brands, but I think Fabric is kind of the brand it is now. So basically a presentation titled "Building Better Apps with Fabric." So that's what we got set up today. First is going to be Tim here with his app called Days Off. Then we're going to have Val with the Fabric presentation. Then we're going to have Guy with his app, lit hashtag search app. Then we're going to have Duke Brownie with the Bookmobile audiobook and podcast player app. So that's plan for today. And then once we finish with those, we will have time for everyone to network, get to know some of the other iPhone developers here in town. And have some discussions. So we'll get started with Tim here.
Great.
Days Off.
Hi, so my name's Tim Gasser. This is a presentation on the first app that I actually made, and it's sitting in iTunes Connect. So I'm currently compulsively checking the status every few hours or so. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the idea of the presentation is to just kind of give sort of detail some of the things that I kind of found out as I went along, some kind of time-saving tricks, and hopefully that will save you some time when you're working on your apps as well. So basically, I have a master's in electronic engineering, and I've been a hardware engineer for about 12 years. And in June of last year, I actually started on the University of Washington certificate on iOS, and so that finished in March of this year. And so basically, after I finished that, I wanted to try a project that's something that was kind of simple enough that it was realistic to be able to do in a few months, but also something that would be genuinely useful, so not just kind of a toy application that no one would find any use in. And just a quick note, the website is up. I've kind of written those up. I don't know how legible that is, but it's at getdaysoff.com, and if you want to download the slides, there's actually a lot of hyperlinks inside to link to useful websites and other resources. So that one's bit.ly, and then it's Days Off Pres if you want to download that. So for a bit of audience participation, who in the room has a job where they earn PTO every month with their paycheck? That's a few people. And so who can tell me how many hours you have available now?
200.
Wow, you're working hard. You win the prize. No, only joking. So that's kind of my point, is that I also earn PTO hours every month, and I don't have kind of hundreds in the bank, so I don't know off the top of my head, could I take like a long weekend in October, or could I go away for a week in around Thanksgiving? And so what I always ended up doing is having like a Google spreadsheet. So you put in, it's pretty straightforward to calculate. You have some starting balance, you have some set of pay periods, you accrue a certain amount every month. You check if you hit the cap or if it's rolled over, and then you reduce the amounts. But it's like anything, it's kind of a pain to do. It might be useful to check if you're out having drinks with friends, if you wanted to organise a long weekend next month or something. Everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, let's go and check our PTO balance at work on the horrendous PeopleSoft portal or whatever it is, and it kind of fizzles out and never happens. So this was the kind of the problem I'm trying to solve, is that I have no idea how much PTO I have in the bank. And also because the maths seems simple enough, it's something I could realistically do in a few months and not get bogged down and never actually ship anything. So when I got started, I was trying to think of kind of useful features, so I wrote a list out myself, and I found out a really good way to kind of validate your idea is to search on iTunes, or there's a couple of other websites like searchman.com or fnd.io, and they'll list out, if you can find a few competing apps. It's amazing how verbose the reviews are, so I don't know how legible that is, but I highlighted in green. So they're saying here they want to sync to other devices, they want to be able to back up data, they want to look at any period and the balances on that date. And then the bottom one says it doesn't calculate accrued vacation or sick leave hours per pay period. So these are people who've like taken the time to write these ideas out for you, and it's all just sitting there in iTunes. So if you can find a few apps that are similar to yours, that's great. Basically, if you hit all of these features, I don't know if it's possible to take their Apple username and contact them directly, probably not, but they're basically telling you what they want in the app. So one other thing I did was also copy out the screenshots, and that gives you an idea of how they've gone about designing their user interface. And then, so after I finished this, I had some huge list of loads of features, everything from iCloud and synchronizing within a family so that, you can check that has my husband got the time off, as well as your wife may have the time off, but you may not, and vice versa. So I kind of pared it down to something that would actually be fairly doable in 3 months, and then save the rest of the features for another revision. And so UI design, I have no background in design whatsoever, apart from paying attention to the Apple kind of design patterns like tab bars, navigation controllers, the kind of grid of home icons. So I found this website on the $1 prototype, and the whole point is, if you buy a pack of, I think it's maybe 3 by 5 post-it notes, that's about the same size as a mobile phone. And you can actually sketch it out just with a pen and ruler, and you can kind of mock up the interface. And the other advantage is you can actually hold it in your hand and say, if I had to touch this button, would my thumb reach it? Or if I have to swipe, is there some kind of painful interaction thing that would actually be tricky to do? So this is what I did, and basically I came up with a rough idea. It's based around a tab bar, and then also with kind of navigation controllers within that. And a couple of other tools that I found while I was researching is, so Keynote, actually there's loads of built-in features of Keynote where you can have animations that are the same kind of ease in as on the phone. And that's kind of convenient. If you haven't got any much design experience, you can get started easily, and Sketch was the other one I found. So date calculations, one of the main, the kind of the meat of the app is really the date calculations, working out on a given day how many pay periods have elapsed, and then working back to how much have you accrued. And so you can see on the right-hand side, Apple's actually had quite a few problems with this themselves. So like on the 2nd of January 2011, there's a glitch and the alarms didn't work. Same thing happened on 2013. And one thing I've found looking through the comments is that dates are actually quite painful to work with. So for example, 2015 has 53 weeks. Because of the amount of days in the first week, it has to be greater than 4, and there's a lot of complexity there. It's not like you can just like calculate how many minutes and multiply it up. So the main Apple framework classes is basically the NS date, which is just a double that's type deft. You can't really do much with that. You can't interpret the day of the week or anything else. It's just literally a kind of a double precision floating point value. And NS calendar is that's the class that you can look up and interpret the date, which is just a distance forwards or backwards from January the 1st, 2001, and interpret it as in like a date of a week and particular hours, minutes, and seconds. And then as well as date components, which you get, like you can pull out just the day if that's what you're interested in, or the week of the year for weekly pay periods. And then NS date formatter is just converting to and from strings, so that's probably in your user interface. These are just a list of some more date calculations. So if you're working with dates, or think you may want to in the future, if you grab the presentation slides, they're all there. I'll just skip over those briefly. So once the app is actually ready to go, you've been prototyping, you've tried out some tests, there's still actually a lot to do, or at least I found this took a long time. So you need some kind of app icon, and I've got no experience in design whatsoever. But there's actually a website called Fiverr. I don't know, have anyone used Fiverr before? Okay. So basically, if you go on there, you do, they call them gigs. So someone will say, I'll design your app icon for $5. And it seems crazily cheap, but then they have like add-ons. So then if you want it on a rush, they'll charge another 20, or if you want like launch screens, they'll do those for another 5 or 10. But basically, so for $45, I got a launch screen, I got for launch screen for Android and iOS, got an app icon, and they were all delivered in like 2 days, which is great because I was kind of trying to get it all finished. And then the next few are just kind of useful websites that a lot of the kind of taking your screenshots from the simulator, putting the nice kind of phone frame around them is kind of painful. So Mockup Phone is actually a site where you just drag a load of screenshots on it, and it will email you back a zip, and it will encase them all in like an iPhone 5S or an iPad or something like that. So on your website, you can actually show not just the bare screenshot, but the phone around it, which actually looks nicer. Launch kits, that's another one where in the app store with this, you have kind of the screenshots, and it allows you to take your screenshot of your app and add in text on the top, and it will automatically export for all the different diagonal sizes for you. So that can save a lot of time. I'd hate to try and do that by hand. And then the last one is, I had no website, and so I found Strikingly, which I don't know if many people use Strikingly at all or heard of it. It's just kind of like a very, if you want to do a lot of like customization, you're going to be out of luck. But if you want something that looks pretty good and with a minimum amount of time, then it's actually very good for that. And you can sign up, and you can, if you don't mind having the Strikingly logo at the bottom, you can have it for free and have different kind of subscription levels, that kind of thing. But their app website template is the one that I used, and I think it looks pretty nice. So we've got about 5 minutes left. So basically, the amount of time I spent on this project was about 120 hours. A lot of that was grappling with trying to get date calculations to work, calculating over when you have weekly payments going over the year, so the week kind of resets. All these kind of corner cases caught me out. And actually, I recommend, I don't know if many people use Toggle. That's something I find, like, whenever I'm working, if I'm on the clock, then if I can't just start, messing about, looking on Twitter or Google Plus or reading, Recode or whatever, then you're actually like, as long as the clock's ticking, it helps me kind of get stuff done and keep focused on that. But yeah, so I also use a library called iOS Charts, which I found to be really easy to use. It's actually a port from an Android library, and that's what the graph here is done using. And lastly, so you can sign up for a beta invite if you go to the website. It's been approved. It's not available in the App Store yet, but it's been waiting for review for a few days at this point. So if you're interested in doing a beta, then if you sign up on the website, I'll add you onto that. And in general, once it's available on the App Store, if you try it out, it's free anyway. So just send any comments, and I'll make sure I kind of address those in the next version. Right, so demo time. So do you guys have any questions? Just shout them out. Okay.
Do you think you're going to do any in-app purchases or something?
Yeah, when I eventually, I'm thinking that what the features now are just like the bare minimum. So once I have more time, then I'll add more integrating with a calendar or something like that. And I'm tempted to add some kind of advert which you just pay to remove the adverts and unlock all these extra features. So definitely I'm planning to have like some basic version for free and then some extra features that hopefully people will pay for. That's the plan anyway. So, alright, so this is the app. It's a straightforward kind of tab bar implementation. So on the user info, I'll just enter an account. For the paid periods, I use this pattern of, this is kind of copied from the calendar where you tap on a cell and it will drop down a pic of you. So we can set up anything. We always go for bi-weekly. And then this start period will automatically only give you options which are an even week of the year. So one of the issues I had was typing in loads of information to get started. I didn't want it to be really painful to even put your details in, and then people just drop out and never bother with it. So let's say we have a paycheck in our hand from February the 20th. Let's say we started off with 10, and then we earn 8 hours every 2 weeks. So then in the updates, it kind of gives you a list of the current date, how many days you have available, any pending requests. So if we go in and add a request, and again, this is the same tapping with a pic of you. This is a date pic of you underneath it. So if you want to take a few days off in September, let's just put any number in, put September. So at the moment, it's not approved. So every PTO they won't actually contact your place of work. It doesn't integrate with People Portal, so you have to do the manual legwork of checking with your boss. But before you do, it will let you know in the pending requests if you've got any PTO that you haven't actually approved yet. So if we just set that to approved, and then looking on the graph, so this is our days available. And so we started in the 20th of February, we're earning a couple of days, so we start up with 10 hours and we earn 8 hours every pay period. So you can see our leave goes up until we hit September. Then in October, we actually drop down, and then there's a days taken where there's only one booking there, so it's there's not a lot to show, but we can see the booking in September is 6 days, and that's why we take it off in September. Then in October, the amount of hours we have drops down based on that. So to summarize, it's basically a way to get more of an idea or know quickly, like looking at your bank balance on Chase, how many hours do I have? Have I got any bookings that I'm still waiting to approve with my boss? And it takes into account whether it's a holiday or not, which you can program. So for every year, I've added a P list, which is loaded in at runtime. And that will basically, you can actually enable or disable. So if your work doesn't give you Columbus Day, then you can turn that off. Or if you didn't get Veterans Day, you can change them around. And the actual amount that you require will be updated automatically based on that. But so I think that's basically, that's pretty much everything. So are there any questions?
Is there like an industry standard of how many PTO hours are given for?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to like accrue people's data with their consent and see like. So one of the things I wasn't sure about is how many hours are in a workday. So I added something in so you can change that. So 8 I've always worked on, but maybe some companies might do 10. So that's what I'm hoping, that having just the basic features, people will get some feedback like, hey, my workday isn't this value, or I need another federal holiday adding or something like that. So.
Nice.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, I think it already looks better than a lot of banking apps I've seen. So.
Yeah, I tried to make it kind of simple, not too fancy, but.
Yep, great. And in the recap email after this meetup, we'll include those links, so people will be able to get those through there. Cool. So next we have Valentine.
That's Val.
Or Val. Yep, we got Val from Fabric, and he's presenting building better apps with Fabric. Once this way works.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
Excellent. Cool. So I think I already met quite a bit of you. So my name is Val. I work as a developer advocate at Twitter. I focus primarily on Fabric. So just quick show of hands, who is using Fabric? Or 3 people. Excellent. Second question, do you guys want more slides or more code? I'm hoping it's code because I only have 3 slides. Okay, code it is. Cool. So what is Fabric? Fabric is a set of tools that we use internally in our apps. So Twitter app, Vine, Periscope, that help us with common development challenges. And we offer those tools to the broader development community. So think of Fabric as the Batman's utility belt. So Batman has a bunch of gadgets, uses them in different situations against different villains. So with Fabric, we address things like how to make your apps more stable, how to keep your users engaged, how to make money off your app. So what's in the box? We offer our tools via kits. So we have 4 kits. First one being Crashlytics. So Crashlytics gives you crash reporting for your apps. So in other words, your app is out in the wild, it crashes, people give you bad reviews, you don't know what's going on. With Crashlytics, you have a nice dashboard. You can see where the crash occurred. We automatically upload DSIMs for you. You can see how many users are affected. And hopefully you can fix a bug, close it, and gain back those stars that you lost on the App Store. Another tool we offer is Answers. So Answers is our solution for analytics. We call it opinionated. So in other words, we don't send you megs or gigs of just raw data. Then you have to figure out, is this important? Is this not important? So we have metrics that we think are actionable. And then, so how many daily users do you have? How many of those users are crash free? How many users did you lose because a crash happened? And last but not least is Beta. So Beta is our build distribution solution. So in other words, if you want to test your app with your colleagues or with your friends before submitting it to the App Store, you can do it via Beta. Of course, we integrate with Twitter via TwitterKit. So TwitterKit allows you to add a sign-in Twitter button. You can compose tweets. You can embed timelines, tweets. So it's all native. And of course, you can use our APIs and construct the UI yourselves. So the benefit of TwitterKit is that we do the caching with the refreshing the UI for you. So in other words, if tomorrow we add a new feature, you're going to get it automatically in your code. Mopub. So Mopub was, along with Crashlytics, an acquisition that Twitter made 2013, 2012. And those two plus Twitter became sort of the base, the trifecta of Fabric. So Mopub allows you to make money off your apps if you want to add ads. And finally, Digits, which was part originally of TwitterKit, we now split them into two. So Digits is our tool for user identification. So typically you do email password or Facebook login, LinkedIn login, or Twitter login. Digits allows you to authenticate users based on their phone number. So in other words, the person enters their phone number, we get it, we send back a text message with a PIN, user enters the PIN, we get it back, we confirm everything's legit, and then we provide you an ID for that user. So you as a developer are then free to store it on the device, store it in the cloud, build your auth around that. So that's it for slides. That was nice and quick. So typically, I write like a sample Twitter client to sort of show how Fabric works and how you onboard it and add different kits. I decided to do something different this time. So anyone used IRC back in the day or right now? Yeah, okay. Everyone remembers the slap command? Slap someone with a child? Okay, cool. So this is the revenge they can take on the child. So you just slap the child. You get 10 seconds. Okay, game over. Pretty simple, just using UI dynamics. Whole code is 90 lines. So what I want to do is just add a couple of kits, show you how to onboard an app using Fabric, and then we can do a Q&A. So on iOS, Fabric ships via a Mac app. So what you do is you find your project, load it up, and then you pick basically the kit that you want. So you don't need to go online, download the framework files, it's all in the app. So in this case, I want to share my Child Slap score. I had a lot of fun with this, I'm sorry. With my friends. So I first of all need to have a run script. So this will onboard my app with Fabric backend. So now that's done. Now I can drag and drop the framework files. Cool. And now the Mac app will give me a couple of snippets that I can use off the bat. So I can log in with Twitter or I can embed a tweet. In this case, I'll just copy the first part of it. So the whole setup is done in your app delegate. You just import the frameworks, and then you go Fabric with, and then you specify the kits that you want to use. So I'm gonna do the same thing here, import Twitter kit. And what I want to do here is just when the game is over, I'll do Twitter composer, and then composer self, and this, and then if Twitter composer result is done, I'll just print line tweeted. So next. So now I just run my app. Okay, I'll try to get a good score, but
Still on Twitter, so.
I'm using my test account, so I'm not gonna. Okay, cool. So my Trout Slap score is 6. Post. Okay, tweeted. So that's done. And that's, I mean, the same example can be applied for timelines or embedding tweets. It's pretty simple. You know, it takes, what, this took 7 lines of code. So next is, I want to show you guys the Crashlytics dashboard. So if you have a crash in your app, like bombs, you can sort of see what's happening. So the process is identical. Just build it first. Okay, cool. Drop framework here. Okay, so import Crashlytics. Go back here. And say, let's say if I cancel out of the action, I'll go Crashlytics, share instance, crash. So that's just going to force a crash. So run. So this is actually not going to do anything because Crashlytics can't pick it up in this case because the debugger from Xcode is attached. So the crashes are not reported. So what I'm going to do is, when it's done, I'm going to cancel. Okay, we got the crash. So now I'm going to stop the debugger, run it again from the simulator. I can share this on GitHub if you guys want to like extend the trout slapping. Okay, so cancel. So now the crash is recorded. Next time I start it, it's going to get uploaded. So let's see. So hopefully I should see my app here. Okay, trout slap. Let's go to the dashboard. So, so there's the crash. So you can see that, so the DSIM was uploaded automatically. So we can see the stack trace. You can see that the bug was in our view controller on the UI tab gesture recognizer. We've got some data about the device simulator in this case. You can grab more details. So it detected that it was an iPhone simulator. And then in this case, it was only one crash, one user. So crashes are bundled in issues. So in other words, you have 15 users having 37 crashes, but that might be just one issue. You can go back, say, bug is fixed, awesome, and close it. Good job. So that is Crashlytics. And last, I want to show you digits because I think that's the coolest one. So same process, build, Cool. Drop it again. Okay. Digits kit. Digits. So with here, I actually want to add another view controller. New file. Login view controller. Cool. And then back to my fancy storyboard. Let's close this. I need one here. Let's go login view controller and then make it the root. So that's good. I'll go back here, back to the Mac app. And I just want to do, I'm actually going to use the snippet in this case because it does what I want. Think. And then I'm going to do storyboard, UI storyboard, main, nil, view controller, storyboard. And then self PC true. No, that looks okay. Okay, so let's run this plugin. Okay, excellent. So use my phone number. Oh, wait a second. That didn't look right. Should this be main now? Now. There we go. Okay, so I enter my phone number. 415-654-3291. Please don't call me. So now, if it's going to work, I should get a text message here with the code. There we go. Here's the code. So 331592. Sign in. There's a site called digits.com where you can enable two-factor auth, which I did. So I'll just enter my secret key, verified, and I'm back to slapping trouts. Fabric, all the kits are free, including digits. You can grab them on fabric.io. A bunch of my colleagues are here, so if you want to catch us afterwards and ask us tough questions, you can do it now, probably not, or later. But yeah, I think I got 5 minutes for Q&A. If not,
is there any way to use these things without the Mac app? Like, I get how like it has it's like a really optimized onboarding, which is great.
Yeah.
For
what would you use?
Getting people on, but I'm not sure exactly how I would improve it. But I know it's like taking Crash Release is the tool we use on every project for crash reporting, and it's also it's gotten better. But one thing I don't like is that it automatically updates, and so it'll.
Does it break things?
It adds, it puts changes, puts changes into your repo then. So if you're working on feature branches, you maybe don't want to have the Crashlytics update in your feature branch. You only really want it in your main branch, and you don't want there's 3 developers that are working. Yeah. And they're all having these automatic changes being done, and so it's like.
Do you run CI? I mean, does you automatically. Is it gated? In other words, do you build your? Because some people they don't check in the frameworks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're just using GitHub as push your code, you can avoid, you can skip the .framework file. if you're using CI, yeah, it becomes difficult because you need to code to build it. Yeah, I mean, let me know the issue.
Yeah, so I'm just. So is there anything?
But how do you implement frameworks yourself? Like, you grab one from GitHub.
Yeah. So so we use CocoaPods on our project, so we're not using any frameworks other than Crashlytics.
Okay. So would you prefer using CocoaPods?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that would fit better with the.
Stay tuned.
Cool. Okay.
Yes, actually, yeah, we can speak to that issue too. When we used the sort of auto magic upgrade button, it ended up failing. And because there was no manual way to revert back to updating frameworks, we ended up kind of caused some headaches. So.
Did you write the support?
Not sure if we did or not.
Okay. So basically, there is a way to get the well. I mean, basically, what the Meetup does, it downloads the frameworks, saves them in a location, then tries to, put them into your project file. So if that fails, there's a way to sort of just grab them and manually integrate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be $5.
That'd be a good blog post for y'all.
In our case, I think the problem ended up being a problem with the way we were using Git at the time. Something didn't get checked in. If I got checked in, but not having the manual process, it kind of made it very difficult to discount.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like a lot of people, I mean, I look at the support queue, and a lot of people love the Meetup, others hate it. So it's always been, a divisive issue. And Crashlytics had the Meetup before CocoaPods even existed. So there are practical reasons for it, and there's historical reasons for it. But yeah.
But that being said, I would like to praise Crashlytics and I guess offer a tip that we came across, which was the CLS log function that y'all offered. Be able to include logs along with crash reports.
Yeah.
We some of our bugs were tricky enough that just a stack trace wasn't enough context figured out. And so we were able to divert all of our existing Flurry analytics right into the crash reports.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Really helped tremendously, and it was only a couple lines of code. So.
All right.
Awesome. Cool. Yes, I hadn't heard about the digits. I think that's going to be a pretty cool feature that I think a lot of people could use in any type of app where you maybe don't want people to have to sign up with Facebook, but you do want to make sure that they can't create like 50 accounts using your app. So pretty cool. So next up, we are going to have Jide. Yes, Jide's up next up. And he is presenting his lit hashtag search app that he's been working on. Is that from the App Store already?
Yes, I finished actually about 2 days ago. So I'm hoping to submit it today.
Cool.
Yeah.
Take it, we can't do that.
Yeah. It's,
How's everyone doing? My name is Jide Opeola, and I'm here to present Lit. If you're anything like myself, you would think any app that's in the App Store is there for a reason. It solves a problem. So for Lit, that problem was, for me, I'll be sitting at home on the couch watching TV and watching basketball, and I'll see, amazing play, someone get crossed over. And I'm immediately on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm trying to, research, look at the memes and, the funny memes that are up, the funny videos and things like that. And also, I know you guys seen last year one of the most amazing catches in NFL history, Odell Beckham Jr. I literally was on Instagram and Twitter for maybe about 45 minutes to an hour. Missed the rest of the game. I don't even know what happened. I was looking at the memes, looking at the hashtags, and looking at the funny content that was on there. So that made me think of coming out with an app that is pretty much a compilation of Instagram and Twitter feed. You search the hashtag and it gives you the actual, content that's on there for social media posts. So here, I'll demo it a little bit for you guys. Let me make sure. Okay. So first, when you start the app, it brings you to trending topics. This one is powered. Oh, let me send it. So this is the trending topic right now, powered by Twitter. It lists about 10. And this one is powered by Google Trends, and it's about 20 of them. So every time you come on the app, if you don't have any hashtag to search, you come on here and see what everyone in the US is talking about. So let's pick something interesting. Let's see. There was IHOP on there. Let's see. Anybody have any ideas?
Teach America $38 flights.
Where is that at?
That's why they're trending.
What? Oh, it was on Google?
A few places, but they had a San Francisco flight.
Number 5? Okay. Virgin America. So right now what this is searching, it's searching Instagram and Twitter for hashtags that have to do with that content. So this is all of them right now. So it has, random posts. So let's we'll go to this one. This one has a video and it has the play indication. So I don't know what the video is, so that's a disclaimer. I have my volume on my phone down right now. So, okay, this is somebody obviously on the airplane taking a video. And then you can view the comments on there, a bunch of hashtags on there. So in the future, I'll make these hashtags somewhat marijuana policy. In the future, I'll make these hashtags, clickable where you can click on it and then it'll search other things. So let's look at this Twitter one. So for Twitter, it was a little tricky to work with because they're the entities that they give you has the shortened URL, and for Twitter you can't preview that URL, the shortened URL. So what I had to do was just integrate pretty much the web browser on there, and I actually lucked out because I think it looks pretty nice. So this is the URL that Chris Herpich put on his post. And then here, I actually did have it for Twitter where you can click on Travel Tuesdays and then it searches that hashtag, both Twitter and Instagram feed. And then here is if you just only want Twitter, and here is if you only want Instagram. And pull in more. And one thing that was real tricky about this was sometimes when you send out to Instagram saying I need more information, sometimes, so it tells you that there's 57 things coming, right? But in all reality, there's only 20 available because the difference is private, but it just sends you all of them. So have to find a way to pretty much alleviate that in checking to see if something's already there. And if it is, then it will just discard it. So yeah, and like I said, I finished roughly about 2 days ago, and I'm submitting it to the App Store today. And then you can see the trending topics on Twitter and Google. So yeah.
How long did it take you?
About a month and a half. Working. Yeah.
Did you run into any issues with Twitter, with their limitations on how many calls you can make in an hour?
Yeah, I believe Twitter is about 5,000, if I'm not mistaken. I get that confused with Instagram. So right now I have it where the user doesn't log on with their username. So it's just everyone is open, is going through my client ID. And you do have 5,000 per app per hour. So if I run into that problem, that'll be a good problem to have. And then in the future, what I'll do is have everyone sign on with their actual name. And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, when you sign on with your username, then now those hits are for your username, not the app.
We should talk afterwards.
Okay. Okay. It must be like that for Instagram because
basically there's, if you're not logging in as a user in the app,
okay.
And if you've created your key on apps.twitter.com,
yeah,
you're automatically using application authentication.
Gotcha.
And that's made for websites. So in your case, let's say you have 1,000 users, those 1,000 users will be sharing whatever X number of calls per 15 minutes.
Okay.
So what you want is guest auth, which is automatically enabled for Fabric apps, but we can also enable those permissions for keys created on apps.twitter.com. In that case, each user, so you have 1,000 users, each of those users will have X number of calls per 15 minutes.
If they are guests?
Exactly.
They're, okay, okay.
And if you're logging in as someone, well, in that case, that's user permissions.
Yeah, if you're logging in as someone, then those hits are tailored to that.
Exactly, but if you're not, then don't use application on that.
Yeah.
Or you can pay Twitter 10 grand a month.
Yeah, no, nah, this app is gonna be free. It was just for practice, pretty much.
Do we have a back end in mind to start getting users?
No, I don't really, cause I'm not keeping any data. All of it is just literally getting pulled from Instagram and Twitter. Once you click on something else, my arrays are deleting everything. If I wanted to, in the long run, maybe I could do, if it ever becomes big, I don't know. But if for instance, I want to see how many times a hashtag is searched and keep like some type of count on there, things like that, yeah, then I'll need a backend parse, because it's not going to be that much data being stored. But as of right now,
so are those just, the posts are sorted by time?
yeah, they're sorted by time. In the future, that's another thing I'm thinking about. So if a user searches a hashtag, I'll have something collected in the background and maybe sorting by how many likes or comments, you know, I have to present that to the user. But right now, it's just based on time.
Cool. Yeah, I think that'd be really useful because then you can see like what's getting retweeted, things like that.
What's actually funny versus what someone thinks is funny.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so you'll be eventually want to be able to toggle between time and, I guess, popularity almost.
Yes, I'm gonna have I plan on having a sort button. I'll probably have to create space somewhere in the UI, but I plan on having a sort button, and there'll be a drop down of, you know, likes, sort by likes, sort by comments, sort time.
Did you do all the UI stuff yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a design background as well. I'm an electrical engineer. Just started getting into developing apps. I have a coding background as well, but just started tailoring it to iOS, and I have a design background as well. So just put that all into one.
Nice.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So that was Jide with lit hashtag search. Now we've got our fourth presentation. This one is Duke Browning and his app. Yeah. Is yours also is yours in the store yet?
It has been in the store for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
actually the first time I've ever presented it to anyone, but it's been in the store since 2010, 2009. I started working on it right after the SDK came out. So it's an audiobook player, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I hated listening to audiobooks using the music app, which is what you had to do for a while. Because audiobooks would get mixed in with your music, and it like turned, you went to cover flow, then your audiobook was somewhere in this big mass of audiobooks. You couldn't find your place, and if you ever accidentally hit the fast forward or backwards button, then you were lost in your place. You never could find where you were at. So lots of problems using the music app. So I wrote my own thing just for myself, and I didn't put it in the store probably for a year, just because I wanted it myself, and then I wanted to see what it was like to put something in the store, see if it would get noticed if I didn't do anything at all. Charged $2.99 for it, and it got 3 or 4 or 5 downloads a day, people buying it. So it was encouraging, and I got good feedback. I guess I'll back up a little. My name's Duke Browning. I've been doing Objective-C development since 1992. I was at Next. I was at Apple during the transition from Next to Apple. Of course, that all went away for a long time, so I did Java stuff and a bunch of other stuff. I've done 7 startups here in Austin, a lot of different roles. But I've always had this, since like 2009, 2008 as a side project. And I really enjoy it. So there's 2 apps. One's called Bookmobile and one's called Bookmower. My company is Fresh Mode, my side company. And Bookmobile is both an audiobook player and a podcast player. And this is the basic UI. So one of the big things was I wanted to be able to listen to audiobooks in my car. A lot of people do that. You're sitting on your seat or sitting somewhere, you just want to be able to reach over and hit pause, play pause, something's happening. So that's the easy thing to do in driving mode. You can swipe back and forth to skip forward, back 30 seconds, play, pause. And you can swipe up on the left side to get a list of parts or chapters or episodes if it's audio podcast. And then you can get the skip buttons. There's no sliders, there's no scrubbers. So if you're in your car and you need to back up, you can't do that fine grain control with your thumb to get back 5 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever it is. So no scrubbers at all. You can jump back 30. If you jump back 30, then you can jump forward 30. These are all customizable values. If you hit the center. So there's a couple things you have to learn about the app. People complain about this, but then once they realize how it works, it makes a lot of sense. If you hit the center, then it switches to minutes mode. You can jump by minutes, and you can change both the values and the minutes segment, second suffix, whatever you want it to be. Then you can switch between your audiobooks and podcasts with a shortcut bar here. Bookmarks are a big thing for some people. Some people that's why they bought this app. And it was one of the early things I did. So one thing I do is I create a bookmark every time you hit pause or anything that happens. If you get a phone call, if you go to sleep, if you hit the sleep timer expires, all those events I keep a bookmark for. So if you get lost, if you accidentally have it running in your pocket and you need to figure out where you were, you can go back and go, oh, okay, that's where I unplugged the phone. That's where I got that phone call. You can go find out where you're at. So it's very helpful. But then if you also want to customize bookmarks with a different name, you can do that. You can export the bookmarks as HTML or CSV. Some people use them for notes for academic papers and things they're listening to. And then, so there's a lot of different ways that you can get audio into the app. The first thing I did was iTunes syncing. So if you have things in your iTunes library, I listen to primarily Audible content when I started out, and that's DRM enabled. So the only way that you can play DRM enabled audio is if you sync it through iTunes to your device. So that's a requirement. But anything else, MP3s, M4B audiobooks, I have two different audio frameworks that I use. One does DRM and one doesn't. The one that doesn't do DRM is the more low-level audio framework available, and you can do a lot more control with audio. Plus, you can manage the files. So you can, I allow downloads from web URLs, Dropbox, Safari. You just do open as from Safari. If you got a zip file, I'll import zips full of audio files with an image that I'll use for the cover. And then I also integrate LibriVox, which is a site that has thousands of free audiobooks that volunteer listener or volunteer readers record. And so you can, looks like images aren't coming up here, but you can search, say, Twain. And then there's a bunch of books by Mark Twain. These are all free. You can just add them, show up. I let you download the audio on demand. You can download it all at once. You can download chapter by chapter. If it's a podcast, I've got preferences for auto download. So only a certain number of podcasts will be downloaded. It'll start downloading the next one once you're a minute or so into one of them. I support embedded MP3 cover images. So if there's sometimes podcasts, not that one, they have their standard podcast image, but then within the audio, they might have a separate cover image within the MP3. So you can just swipe up and get that. I support idle timeout. So if you want to disabling the idle timeout. So if you're driving and you want to just turn the phone over, it'll dim the screen, but it'll keep playing. So when you turn it back over, it's there to work with. If you're going through a toll booth or whatever. You can subscribe with RSS URLs. I just recently integrated finding podcasts using iTunes. It'll go use the iTunes URL, act like a Windows 95 client to go get an actual RSS URL from that iTunes provides through those clients, and then it'll get that RSS URL and let you import the podcast that way. I just recently integrated with Listen Up, which is a startup doing audiobooks like Audible, and they've asked me to white label an app for them, which I'll do later this summer. But currently you can, if you're a Listen Up customer, you can come and download their books directly. There's all the podcast preferences. You can decide per podcast how you want to order the playlist. So if it's something like Serial, where it's something where you want to listen to every episode starting with the oldest and going forward, you can set it that way. If you're listening to some podcast and you just want to get the latest one, then you can listen to that going backwards. Let's see.
I like the skip at 95%. I usually like the podcast I usually listen to have like 30-second like outro. I never listen to, and then it's like unplayed still.
Yeah. Well, even then I added skip the opening and closing.
Nice.
So it'll just jump to the next one. They won't like it because you're skipping all the ads, but I'm not selling ads.
How did you do detection for the opening and closing?
It's just a time setting, just that you set the number of seconds you want, but you can do it per podcast. So if you know, like the startup podcast does it 50 seconds, you can set that. It'll do it. And then there's a default setup for all your podcasts until you set it to something different. I think. Oh, you can do speed adjustments. You can post Twitter or Facebook reviews of the audiobook. No one ever does that, but I added it. I've been working on this for a while, so that's about it.
What did that bar between a tortoise and a hare mean?
That's the speed. So you speed it up, you know.
Right, the speed of what?
The speed of the audio that's playing.
Oh, okay. The speed. Interesting.
Some readers are really slow, and like if you're doing audiobooks primarily, some are much, they're just slow, and so you want to speed them up. I've never had to slow any down.
What's your way of like prioritizing features, or do you just build every feature?
Primarily review feedback. You know, like Jim mentioned, you can go find stuff, and people email me all the time. Most people love it, but then they say, "Can you do this one thing?" And then, like, yeah, I'll do that. So, like, you know, I've been working on it a long time, so the podcast stuff is new. It was just sort of this bastard child thing that it did podcasts because I wanted to be able to listen to podcasts while I listen to audiobooks. Most of the features are something that I want.
Yeah.
But a lot of feedback has made me realize, oh, that's a better way to do it. The podcast, I'm going to have a separate podcast app that I'm going to put out probably in a couple weeks. That'll be free. So it's all the features for podcasts. So it'll be primarily the same. I did the same thing with Bookmobile. As you can see, it's the exact same layout, everything. It's the exact same code. Almost all the interface files are the same. One of the benefits, oh, I didn't show this. So you can change the colors of things. Let's get back. So I go read the cover image and use an algorithm to find out what the most common colors are, and then let you change the colors. So by doing that, then I also draw all the buttons and stuff. So the two apps I have are almost all generated graphics, and there's no color or anything that's unique to each one. So almost all the code is the same. I just have flags in the code to not show podcast stuff. And I'm going to do the same thing. When I put the podcast app out, I'll just comment or not show any of the audiobooks.
Is it supposed to kind of look like the original, like one of the original iPods?
Sort of, yeah, like that. That's where I
mean, I like it. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's probably where I thought of the idea. But I wanted, like, okay, how can I, if you look at other audiobooks, they've got tons of buttons. You know, you can skip 5 or 30 forward, or, you know, 5 minutes, there's just buttons everywhere, and it's like, it's just ugly. So I wanted a way to switch between minutes and seconds and still keep some sort of design elements.
Does that clock in the middle run?
Does it run? No.
It's a little second hand.
No, it doesn't. I've thought about doing that, but it's not a high priority.
So you have the flags for like showing and hiding things. What about the app icons? Is there like a way to like do you just like switch them out when you go to the app store, or is there like
it's separate apps in the app store?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, what I mean is like when you're exporting to the app store, do you like change out the app icons, or is there like configurations?
It's just two separate Xcode projects with their own set of icons and screenshots and stuff like that.
But so if you make an improvement on one, does it get to the other one?
It's the same code, there's just symlinks to the code. So I like to update it one place.
Okay.
And knowing that it's updating 2 different apps, I need to make sure that, oh, this is an audiobook thing. And you know, it's just, or not even commenting out, just checking to see which app's running and not showing certain things.
Okay, so it's 2 extra projects.
Yeah, architecturally, there's it uses FMDB. It doesn't use core data. I don't recommend core data. I've had a lot of experience with ORMs, but I also wrote a really lightweight ORM on top of FMDB, which I put on GitHub if anyone's interested.
What's it called?
It's called FM Persisting, and it's probably the easiest way you can go about getting classes into FMDB tables. Just the mapping between properties and columns in a table is just really straightforward, and then you can just use the classes.
And users on it?
I mean, users, when I do an update, I usually get about 12,000 people updating in the first 3 or 4 days.
Wow, that's great.
And right now I'm getting 90 to 100 downloads a day and maybe 15 to 20 purchases.
Oh, it's an in-app purchase? I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah, originally I had it where it was $2.99, and then I switched to in-app purchase a couple years ago. And that helped a lot with downloads. Yeah, I've learned a lot on the whole store. And
what's the in-app purchase?
$3.99 now.
No, I mean, what do you get?
Everything. It's unlimited. So there's just this one-shot thing. It's free for 3 audiobooks or podcasts for 60 days.
Oh, okay.
And then...
Have you looked at iAds or anything like that?
I did, and I think I tried it and really had no... Well, I didn't try iAds. I tried advertising my app in other ads, and that wasn't good, but...
Yeah, I'm doing an app right now with iAd in it. I'm just curious if anybody's monetized well on it yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
What does app do after 60 days?
It lets you play the audio. It really just prevents you from adding more audio. Okay. So you can add up to 3, and then after 60 days, it's not going to let you play those either. So.
Okay. Cool.
So as far as the audiobooks and your podcast, where are you getting that from? Are you storing it somewhere back in? Are you pulling it from somewhere?
No, so if it's DRM enabled, so it's from Audible or iTunes. So I also have the iTunes store built in. So you can go browse iTunes store and I'll get a notification that says there's a new new audiobook in your iTunes library, and I'll check to see if it's a purchase that you made through mine and then add it in. Otherwise, you have to sync with iTunes. That's for DRM. For everything else, then I provide all the other ways for you to get the audio into the app. Downloads, web downloads, Dropbox, Safari.
Is that pretty easy to do as far as importing from different places?
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's just a web download. It's just pretty straightforward. And I also have a back end, so my website, freshmode.com, I do stuff like, one thing I really recommend if you do in-app purchases, things get screwed up sometimes, and people will say, I've got another device, or I've got a new phone, and it's not letting me do your app, and I purchased it. I've got a way, it's a little back door that has saved me a lot. So,
I think it's the cable use or something. The display cable.
Okay, so I'll go back. If you triple tap the in-app purchase heading, then I give you this one text field, and they send me an email and say they have a problem. I'll enter their email in the back end, and they can enter it here, and then I authenticate them outside of the App Store.
What do you use it for your back end?
Just a PHP thing, yeah. I also keep all the podcast RSS URLs that don't show up through iTunes, and I find them and I have them there.
That's cool. Thanks.
Any estimate on total number of hours?
I was fortunate enough to have about a year of time where I could work on it primarily full time. So it's probably a couple of man years total.
Cool. So those are our 4 presentations for today. But we still have about 45 minutes of time here at the meetup. So we're gonna have anyone, y'all can still stay here and talk, and also be here and be talking with the Twitter guys and people that did their presentations today. I'm sure everyone still has a lot of questions, but thanks for coming.
Wait, can I ask something? Does anybody here like into game apps or like interested in making game apps? Nobody?
Cool. All right, thanks.